Well, that was embarrassing. Yeah, I really screwed up the audio. It kept feeding back into itself. I turned the audio off on my end, but I didn't realize it was feeding right back into OBS. So I really apologize for that. Um, so yeah, right now what I'm going to do is to relink the live stream link here, because I was not going to keep that. I'm not going to keep um, that mess of an audio. Uh, so yeah, I'm just going to relink it in social media here. I'm just going to put this in Twitter because I'm quite the idiot here, by the way. New link, audio screwed up on previous stream. Starting over. Okay, so that's Twitter. Let me link it elsewhere. Gonna delete the old one. I'm sorry I'm wasting all my time on this here. I really thought I had it figured out. I was so confident. But here I am screwing up and everything. So, but OBS doesn't look like it's freaking out. Thanks to whoever it was that brought it to my attention, by the way. Yeah, completely new at this. Okay, sorry, I wasted so much time. So yeah, I'm going to talk about my music today, but before I talk about that, see, I had this grand opening this bottle of absinthe, and I was talking about um, uh, how I didn't know where else it was sold in the United States because it didn't exist in Minnesota that I can find anyway. I don't think it was illegal there that I know of, but I couldn't find any absinthe. So I haven't had absinthe for a good 6 to 8 years, I think. The first time I had it, it made me really, really sleepy. Like, not fatigued, beaten kind of sleepy, but I mean, like your eyes are heavy and you're going to find a couch and you're going to crash right into it, kind of sleepy. Um, yeah, so I already poured some. I already had a sip, one sip, because that's pretty strong enough. That thing is 60, 62 percent alcohol, so that's 124 proof. So yeah, but since we're on the stream again, I'm gonna take one more sip. Oh wow! And I was telling the previous stream that it's kind of reminiscent of ouzo. It's kind of got that same very licoricey sort of quality. And in fact, this was actually clear, but I had some ice in it, and it's gotten a little bit milky. It's not nearly the ouzo effect, um, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm really sorry to have lost the other viewer there. That is my mistake. I'm an idiot. I clearly don't do this often because I am an absolute fool. But enough berating myself. Let's talk about something awesome I did. So, I recently released a brand new home demo EP called Cosmo Scorpion under my own name. And it's basically a sort of a follow up to the previous one. Previous home demo I did that's called Echoes of Inner Space. And the premise of Echoes of Inner Space, especially that title track, was that I walk up to the keyboard, just do anything that comes out, and there it is. I write things on the spot, and just see what it turns into. Like nothing pre-composed except for 2 tracks, which were based off of a stuff I wrote in college. So the reason I feel I'm kind of distracted sounding is that I'm trying to manage how I'm covering my ass here with the new live stream. So yeah, just when I had my first feedback, you get guy giving me feedback, and I screw it up. But yeah, so that original Echoes of Inner Space was basically no drums, almost no percussion. There was some exceptions, but there were no percussive sounds because I wanted to keep things completely to the keyboard, right? And with Cosmos Scorpion, I decided to do something different. Like the first time I attempted to do something different was to actually manually record the percussion and the drums with the keyboard, and that was not a good idea. Let me tell you what. Yeah, like if I have gone and done it that route and tried to do everything perfect to the extent that I can, then I'd still be working on the first composition, the first piece, even right now, actually. So, right. So I decided to scrap the whole idea. You don't want to hear the embarrassing attempt that I've showed some people, and they were a little bit too generous, but in their reactions to withholding too much criticism. But I didn't show too many. They were understanding people. But yeah, I decided to go with programmed drums. I just went with Superior Drummer 2 just after the fact. So same approach when I'm recording all the music at first. Of course, I'm using a click track, and the last thing that gets recorded for each given song is the percussion, the drums. So drums get programmed after the fact. So that was the approach I took on that one. What I'm going to try and do right now, while I'm kind of distracted, is to get rid of my old draft here. I don't even want to hear. I can imagine it, but I don't want to hear what the hell just happened audio-wise on the other one. So yeah, I'm going to just kill it. But anyway, yeah, completely unscripted stuff. Just a few bullet points for stuff I kind of want to get off my chest. But aside from that, there's no script to this one. But anyway, I was here to talk about the track by track thing. So let's do it. So Selenophobia. That's the first track. Now that track is basically pure goblin worship. Now, if you don't know who Goblin is, they're sort of they're an Italian sort of progressive rock sort of a deal that's primarily known for soundtracks for Dario Argento horror movies called a subgenre called giallo, or yellow in Italian, giallo horror movies. Now, yes, this is the same person who director is the same person who is the father of the wretched Asia Argento. I know, but we're not talking about that creep. We're just talking about guys that did soundtrack to a set of movies, basically. So Selenophobia was especially influenced by the theme song to Tenebra, that I was really hooked to. Like I still haven't seen the movie. Horror is not really my thing. Um, I've seen some. Um, Dario Argento. I've seen what was the movie called? Non Hosono or Sleepless. Yeah, that one I saw was pretty good. I thought for how hokey it was. I like weird stuff, but generally speaking, I'm not huge into horror, you know, and I'm really in it for the music. I was really in it for the soundtrack, and yeah, again, Selenophobia was basically big time. Uh, it combined several things, like the goblin worship was one thing, and aside from that, we've got Human League influences too. I've been hooked on Human League as of late. Um, I'm pretty interested in that style. Um, so, by the way, if there's any viewers out there, tell me how good I'm sounding audio wise. I know I screwed up the last time, but you know, uh, I suck at this. So, okay, so selenophobia itself. So, of course, so as you may know, that word means fear of the moon, right? And it's not really about werewolves. I mean, you can interpret it that way if you want. You can turn it into this big werewolf soundtrack thing if you'd like. But I'd say that so it's really inspired by how I personally am creeped out by the moon sometimes. Like if I would see like a big moon on the horizon, especially a harvest moon, I get freaked out at first. I'm weird, I know, but like seeing a big moon right there close to the ground, and especially if it's red, you know, that is just like it happens, but I just freak out. So what's that hovering over those trees? But and one thing I want to talk about is the moon illusion. That because that's what it is a moon illusion, and you know it looks so huge, but supposedly it's like uh, not any different from size wise, not different from wherever else it would actually turn out to be in the sky, right? And I still haven't been able to do the experiment properly. I guess I still, I believe it. I believe it is a moon illusion. I believe it is the same size and everything like that. But it's like I don't know. Maybe I was doing it wrong. But yeah, the moon creeps me out sometimes. I know it's supposed to be this beautiful thing and everything like that, but good grief, I'm weird. I know. So yeah, that was a track inspired completely by that. And I'm going to skip ahead to the end actually in terms of the tracks. I've included a bonus track that I didn't previously announce while I was establishing the release dates and everything like that, and then making the track list public. So there's something I entitled New Moon, which is originally my original idea for Selenophobia before I turned it into this more danceable kind of a goblin worship, human league worship kind of song, kind of piece. It was more of a completely abstracted soundscape. It's probably one of the more sonically dense things I've ever created. But I guess I was kind of having a change of heart as to what direction to take that thing, and that's the only thing in which I actually did use the manually done drums. That's me playing the drum parts on the keyboard, like the snares and the whatever is really abstracted. That's one piece that you just can't program a drum for because it's too spontaneous by design. Like a guy has to actually be at the drum set, kind of waiting for his right moment. Maybe this is the right moment to kind of slam some snare drums and crash some cymbals. It's really splattery. It's kind of all of the place kind of a thing. So I left it as is. I just decided to include it as like a bonus track because you know I, it's too good not to release. It felt kind of out of place from the rest of the album. I thought, um, and originally was going to be a very loud opening, and I was going to Selenophobia was going to open the EP in either case. So yeah, I thought it would have been too rude of an awakening. It's like especially at odds with the other more melodic kind of songs. So I just decided to include it at the end and kind of added a few seconds to kind of fade right into the gong and give people time to kind of prepare for that one. Um, yeah. So let's see. I think I talked about selenophobia to the extent that I could. The next one is sort of the title track. It's Cosmos Scorpion 1. And yes, it is Cosmos Scorpion 1, as in the Roman numeral 1. There's going to be a 2 later, and it's going to be on Echoes of Inner Space Part 2 somewhere down the line that's kind of being in the process of recording. So there's going to be a sequel. So this is the first iteration of the Cosmos Scorpion series, and there won't be much. It'll probably be just 2. So anyway, that one, see, Cosmos Scorpion was just some. I think that was the one where I decided to do some driving sort of rhythmic drums, and was basically the thing that eventually inspired me to do the whole program drums thing. Just wanted something relaxing, you're driving down the highway during the evening, and there's not a whole lot of traffic. You're just kind of plain sailing, and it's good soundtrack for that. I think I've done it myself. It's good. Um, yeah, I'm one of those guys that really likes to listen to my own music. By the way, why would I make my own? Why would I make music that I would not want to listen to? Right? Some people made fun of me in jest. Yes, how narcissistic of me. Not isn't. Listen to your own songs is fine. You made it so you can listen to it, basically. You know. Why did I call it that? So there's like a sort of a chorus part in which how do I put this? There's a part in a song. It's not the main rhythm. It's not the main melody. See, my music theory is actually so bad. I if I were actually good at it, I'd tell you what the chords were. But there's a part that actually it was actually a direct reference to the very, very, very first riff I wrote on guitar in my entire life in high school. Basically, it was a callback to that one, and that was some bullcrap that I entitled Scorpion for some undefined reason. I guess I thought it sounded cool. I guess my high school friend and I were listening to the Scorpions, among other things. It's not even influenced by the Scorpions. But that's what I titled it. It was this bullshitty kind of riff that I decided to kind of rehash from the grave and turn it in and pretty it up and include it into something actually kind of nice in this composition. So yeah, and then the working title for this composition was called this finished composition, by the way, not the bullshit riff I composed on my friend's Fender Stratocaster, because that's what I did it on. But yeah, it was originally going to be called Scorpions and Star Clusters. In fact, that was what I called it when I test released it to my Subscribe Star crowd, and whoever, some friends also, with the crappy drums, the crappy manual recorded drums. But ever since then, I kind of wanted to make it a bit cooler, and I kind of settled on Cosmos Scorpion, really, and I guess at the time, I was really trying to have this kind of like plastic model. How plastic models come in boxes, and there's a cool artwork for the robot or the plane or the car or something like that. You find them in hobby stores and everything. and I kind of want to try and duplicate that, albeit with watercolor. And so what crossed my mind was to have something that is a cross of a mini 4WD. That's like some hobbyist thing from Tamiya that I collected and raced back in Japan. I really missed them. I actually have them there, but I don't want to leave my seat to interrupt the live stream and everything. But so I wanted to do something that was a cross, something like that, except it's actually like a spaceship of some sort. And I'm pretty sure I did this in the last stream, but I don't care. See, I'm leaving my seat right now, despite saying I did not want to do that. But so this is the original art that I used for the Cosmic Scorpion artwork, and no, I really like it. I know it sounds kind of amateur. It kind of looks kind of an amateur sort of a thing, and um, it's probably more. I could have been more professional about it, but I'm proud of what I did. Screw anyone who says this sucks, whatever. No one said it, but I'm just saying in advance. But basically the idea is that this spaceship that kind of looks like a mini 4WD car, except it's not a car, and that's kind of what I want to do. I got a comment here. City Crusher said, "Oh, so you are going old school. What is this in reference to, if you don't mind me asking? Are you talking about the artwork or the my stream style or what? Feel free to leave your thoughts. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff I like doing. See, I'm one of those guys. I play Magic the Gathering, right? And I really miss the very old." The very very old kind of artwork, and I see you responded. Journey artwork, Boston. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I tend to like. I like something that is clearly kind of hand drawn. I don't like the cynical, gritty kind of artwork. And nothing against CGI. I'm not anti CGI. But it's uh, but I like the fact that I had to kind of sit down and work on this thing. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this was a good artwork for my EP? Share your thoughts. I'm gonna put this over here and stuff. Okay. I am due for a sip of absinthe. Oh, Asia Sea Serpent. Yeah, Asia is. I am such an Asia fanboy. Not as much as I could be because I need to. There's some other albums I haven't listened to yet, but and I like some of their new stuff, and may John Wetton rest in peace, but I don't think Asia was able to top their debut album. I think, you know. Yes, I agree with City Crusher here. You can't go wrong with Spacecraft. You really can't. But yeah, Asia, the self-titled debut, I still think it's their best. It had such an energy, and they kind of tried to be a little bit too mellow in subsequent releases. Not all of them. There's some good albums, but yeah, that's going way off track here. But I was talking about what the heck was I talking about? I was talking about Magic cards. Like I really love the Quentin Hoover artwork. There's some ever visible flaws, but that doesn't matter. It's just so cool. You just want to be a part of that universe. And who else? Rebecca Gay, Guay. I think that's pronounced Gay. And then there's names escaping me. Therese Nielsen, yeah. Margaret Organ Keane, and Richard Kane Ferguson. All these greats, as far as I'm concerned. I'll take a lot of those compared to some of the new ones I'm seeing in terms of Magic the Gathering cards. There's some good ones. There's some that I recognize that they have a distinct quality, like Seb McKinnon. He's got some good stuff, and I like it when he kind of does something that's not just ghouls and ghosts and stuff like that. You can still tell it's his style, and it's really neat. But that's so. I said I was going to take a sip of absinthe, and I need to. Oh my! Yeah, think Ouzo except extra strong. But yeah, I wanted to make that spaceship, and I kind of make just directly associate it with the title track to Cosmic Scorpion. And it's just such an in your space kind of thing. Cosmic Scorpion, the space scorpion. You know, scorpions are known to be radiation resistant, so they can go into a star cluster with no problem. I don't know, something like that. I'm actually thinking about using it in some fictional works of mine, by the way, like some stories I'm working on. But the less I say about that, the better. Before it's even mostly written, even outlined. Okay, all right. So now to talk about track 3, Ghost Matter Overture. This was originally going to be the first in a three or more part series called the Ghost Matter series. Ghost Matter references once again this fictional kind of story I'm making. It's the thing that I'd be uncharitable myself if I call it the Big MacGuffin, but it's kind of like a source of energy and source of creating things in the world of the story I'm working on. Again, I guess I'll keep it to that one, keep to that much of info. But yeah, so this was supposed to be the first of the 3 parts of Ghost Manor, but I decided to turn it into the overture because I wanted to include it in Cosmic Scorpion and keep it to a limited amount of tracks because I've since gotten new technology. I've gotten this Focusrite, Scarlet Focusrite, and that's the new technology I've been working is because up until recently I've been just directly lining it into the computer from the keyboard into the computer, which I no longer intend to do. It's kind of too bad. Um, uh, and I've gotten new software. I'm gonna try and use something other than Audacity for future recordings. I've used Audacity for the Cosmos Scorpion EP, but I might again if the other one doesn't work out. It might be too overcomplicated for me or something like that. I'm already having some troubles with some of the recording quality on that one, so I might revert back to Audacity. It's it's tried and true, so it's good to fall back on it. All right, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Ghost Matter Overture. So yeah, I kind of want that to be like the big, overture to the 3+ part series. 3 of them are going to be included in Echoes of Inner Space Part 2, which Cosmic Scorpion is an intermediate between the first Echoes of Inner Space and the Part 2. So yeah, that's what I had to say on it. And influence-wise, I kind of wanted to do something with some driving drums on that one, more so than Cosmic Scorpion 1. And it's very in terms of influential tributing, worshiping, that kind of stuff. It's very close to 12th Night. That was a band that really re-sparked my love of music, and during a time when I was kind of in a slump and I was not inspired and everything. But yeah, 12th Night are an old neo-prog band, the so-called neo-prog bands. I don't think they like that name, but it was during the 80s, I think it was, and 12th Night had the kind of drums that Ghost Matter Overture did. So so that was kind of me showcasing my influence there. So then there's a Somnophobe's Fantasy. I just wanted to write something really slow-paced and relaxed, that's all. I don't enjoy sleep. Everybody needs their sleep, clearly. And I'm not saying that I'm an insomniac or anything. I'm not, actually. If anything, I oversleep. But I never look forward to dreaming. They're rarely any good. They're always disturbing some way or another. And so in a very loose sense and partly in jest, I'd consider myself a bit of a somnophobe because um, I don't like to sleep, and or maybe a better term would have been ornithophobe, which would be a fear of dreams. But somnophobe, I guess, sounded kind of better. I think. I guess name-wise, I was influenced by a Psy album called Insomnophobia. Um, so I guess that was in my mind when I came up with the title. But so the idea of a somnophobe's fantasy is that he fantasizes about uh, the great, wonderful kind of very relaxing and heavenly sleep. That is a somnophobe's fantasy. So so it's actually a very cheerful song, actually, despite the word of inclusion of phobe. It's actually the second song on the EP that has the phobe in it, the phobia aspect in it. So I mean, if I were to talk about my ass here, I could just say that the EP is about facing the things that you feared and whatever. But don't read too much into that. I mean, they're just titles. They're just inspired pieces of music with titles. Um, yeah, I think yeah, it follows the same influences that I've already said with the other tracks. I think. Actually, this is more of a Cocteau Twins sort of an influence. Like it's like sort of mid to late era Cocteau Twins. Early Cocteau Twins is more post punk and really tries to sound kind of techno beatish kind of thing. I don't mean techno, just more danceable. But I'm talking about uh, Bluebell Knoll, Heaven or Las Vegas, even Four Calendar Cafe. That kind of style of that era of Cocteau Twins was something I was really inspired by because I like those eras quite a bit as well, even though they kind of get critiqued sometimes. I've noticed. But yeah, that was a very Cocteau Twins inspired track. Uh, and the track 5 is actually just the same Echoes of Inner Space tour, except reimagined with drums. Because the original one clearly didn't have any drums. It was just piano and strings and synth, that kind of thing. Actually, I didn't have strings. That not I remember. Sorry, I'm trying to. I can't even remember my own material here. Um, yeah, it was just piano and synth. It was this attempt to do something piano and synth. Like, let me know if you actually want to do something that's actually piano and synth only in terms of like a full release. Like some people would do like piano and guitar or something to that effect. And let me know if that's the kind of music album you like to hear sometimes, and I'll probably strongly consider it. But yeah, it's the same exact track, except I've added some drums to it. So that's why it's called the drum remix. So I tried looking hard, but I couldn't find the original separate recordings to that one. I just had like the master audio. So I was kind of worried that I might not be able to mix this properly or anything like that, but it turned out fine. Yeah, I switched computers sometime last year, like early part of last year, and so my files are kind of everywhere. So things might have gotten lost in the shuffle. I'm not as good as an organizer as I think I am, I guess. But anyway, what was next? Oh yeah, Year on Ice. That's the not counting the bonus track. That was basically the closer of the EP, and that's basically piano and acoustic guitar. And yeah, that is a real acoustic guitar. It's actually a first act, and I don't care what you say about first acts. It's the one I got. It's the one I had since I was in high school. So yeah, that's the one I used. Yeah, I did something, kind of learned some of the chords, and just went to town with it. But I know it's not fantastic. It's not sonic work of genius. Um, but so Year of Ice had its origins in something I kind of recorded again pretty spontaneously. Um, and when I recorded it, um, I was kind of doing an actual recording um, of the whole room I was in too. So every time I was, pressing down on the keys and everything like that on my weighted keyboard, um, there was this kind of percussive effect that reminded me of like a electric, acoustic guitar strum, right? And there was no acoustic guitar or anything, but that's what it kind of sounded like for some strange reason. I don't know what was resonating on what, but So for this proper recording for the EP, I decided to just authentically do an acoustic guitar, and not even on the keyboard too. I actually used my first stacked acoustic guitar. Um, yeah, I know I'm not a very fantastic guitarist or anything like that, not even close. But it did, it served its purpose, right? So the piece itself um, was in, it was done in like around Christmas season of what year was it? Um, late 2020, because that was when the lockdowns were happening, right? And and in Minnesota, the lockdowns were really, really, really happening, and it was like a whole midsummer to winter kind of at that point. Um, and I guess I was kind of mentally fatigued by the fact that we've been so shut up, and I think at the time the International Conference for Men's Issues was all on YouTube and everything like that, and I was a part of that too, and I submitted a video and everything like that. But I guess I was just thinking about the fact that this like the first time I was a part of the ICMI, and I didn't even leave my apartment, So I just felt kind of so the title is in reference to the fact that the year felt like it was put on ice, like we had this whole year in which nothing, um, we were supposed to do nothing, and we were kind of kept in our place by the bureaucrats, and we weren't as mobilized. Another thing is that this was in addition to the George Floyd rioting, and things were, businesses were boarded up, and everybody was kind of on edge, I think, and so it just felt like a wasted year. So that was really my inspiration by the title "Year on Ice." I was kind of lamenting this whole year up to that point, up to the point at the end of the year, and I just kind of poured my heart all on a very simple piano piece, and that's what it was. And uh, the original version is an unlisted video on my channel. I don't intend to unlist it. It's for subscribers anyway, and that's how it will stay. But I re-recorded it for the EP, and it was a good way to close it. Again, not counting the New Moon bonus track. So yeah, that's the EP. You can find it on Vernon Meggs at not at vernonmeggs.bandcamp.com. It's the EP is called Cosmo Scorpion. The spaceship is the logo, is the album art. So go and check it out. So that's all I wanted to say on that one. What else can I actually talk about? Oh, I recently finished watching an anime called Slam Dunk, which is a very old anime. Not that old, but like 90s, kind of old. Um, 80s, 90s. Actually, I already talked about this on the goal post, by the way. Where I talked about having watched Slam Dunk, how awesome it was. I'm just doing the Wikipedia thing right now because I can never get years right. Yeah, early 90s. Yeah. So So this anime is actually the 101 the 101 episodes of Slam Dunk are actually um, part of the story of the whole manga, right? Because it actually ends at the point where the team go into what is called the interscholastics, right? And because they've qualified for the interscholastics, and they're going to be faced up against the toughest in Japan, and etc. But but yeah, it stops there. Even though there's more to the story, actually, I don't know why they canceled it like that, but but it's known to happen, right? Um, but yeah, but I highly recommend it, because it's here's the thing that intrigued me about the show and the manga. Well, I watched the show only so far, but it's the thing that sparked the whole basketball craze when it was released, when the manga was released. Whereas before in Japan, it was my understanding that not only it was not as popular, it was almost taboo. That part I couldn't really understand, but yeah, City Crusher says so. Peak anime then. Well, it really is like no show is perfect, right? Like there's always going to be some kind of gynocentric sort of thing that happens here or there in the show. You can't escape that. Like no matter where you look, the best shows you can't escape that. But so it's about this dude who's kind of down on his luck. He got rejected by his 50th romantic target and everything like that. And so he starts off getting into basketball. He starts hating it at first, but he gets into it to win the heart of this basketball enthusiast uh, girl schoolmate, whose older brother is the captain of the team and everything. And as he gets immersed in it, he has interesting potential, right? He can do the jumps. He's got the athleticism, just not the training and the know-how of basketball. So he struggles at first, but he surprises everybody as to how good he is at certain things. He has hilarious screw ups, but he is there to basically wow the audience because he can do some amazing things despite the relative inexperience he has. And the thing about I referenced the fact that he's trying to earn win over this girl and everything like that who doesn't return his affections. She's actually has her eyes on another a rookie hero who is admired by all and everything like that. But I'm not gonna talk too much about that. But the idea is that he falls in love with the sport as the story goes, right? He gets so immersed in it that impressing this girl is not even the first thing, if at all, that comes to his mind. Of course, he's got that you know uh, shifts in mood as soon as she enters the room, kind of a thing. Like yeah, he's kind of simpy, isn't he? But that's as far as I'm concerned, it's a imperfection that you kind of want to just uh, suspend your complaint. You know, it's and it looks so serious at first based on the promotional material and like the cover art material, but it's really comical and comedic and especially when he like when Hanamichi's the um, the protagonist, you know, he just freaking conchos the the other team's coach. It's like something completely out of place. Anything that's like 100% straight faced. So there's like complete comedic slapstick stuff going on. Some Shimuraken stuff happening here, and yeah. So there's all kinds of seriousness and hilarity to balance each other out. and that's the way I think good stories should be. It should, you know, it should balance these things out. City Crusher says modern anime is the opposite now. Don't I know it? Um, there are some good ones. My Hero Academia is all right. I followed it for a while. I think it's pretty good. Fairy Tale's okay. I followed it to some extent too. But yeah, nowadays it's kind of sterile. Nobody's, everybody's afraid to offend a little bit or something like that. Um, One Punch Man, not bad. I'll check it out. I'll check out One Punch Man. I've heard stuff about it. Um, the funniest thing about anime though, like even those old anime, you're looking at these characters, right? These huge characters, especially in a basketball anime. They're supposed to be minors, these tall ass people that overshadow everybody thinks it's a like what are these grown men? It turns out they're just high schoolers, even middle schoolers sometimes, depending on the anime. Disillusioned Jelly says Spy X Family. That's how you pronounce it, right? Spy X Family. Is it just Spy Family? Is it just Spy Family? All right. Is hilarious as well. I've seen the first episode. It's pretty promising so far. I just haven't had a chance to follow up on it since. Um, but yeah, Spy Family looks promising. I can understand why it caught on. Um, but yeah, it's like all these anime because I'm a big fan of an anime called Bakso Kyodai Let's Go. That's the one. That's the anime in which many 4WDs are showcased, right? Um, and like aside from the obvious shorter protagonist kids, there's some other characters that look like grown adults, but they're actually closer to their own age range, and it's really really funny to think about. Um, Worst for young guys, Oregairu. Hmm. I don't know if I've heard of that one. Poisonous message. I'll make a note to see how poisonous a message that actually is. Thank you, though. But yeah, and I'm not a very sporty sports kind of a guy, right? It's like I can appreciate the athleticism, especially nowadays. I've actually come to appreciate a lot of that even more in my recent years. But um, I guess if anything, I was more of a casual fan of baseball, I think, and baseball is more the national sport of Japan and everything. But I get pretty hyped about Slam Dunk. You um, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. Yeah, well, yeah. I get pretty hyped about the gameplay, and from my understanding, it's pretty accurate for the most part. The portrayal of the gameplay, the basketball gameplay, is kind of accurate. Um, you know, I want to ask the audience here: are you like me, in which my real first exposure to basketball was Space Jam? You know, like in retrospect, I realize to some it might be a bit of a cult classic, but um, you know, it was not a fantastic movie in retrospect. Am I allowed to say that? I mean, here's the thing: I'm a big time Looney Tunes guy, right? Like, I am nuts about Looney Tunes. I actually think in my adulthood they're hysterical. They're pretty fun to watch when you're a kid, but as an adult, they're hysterical. Like, you want to see how much of a nut I am about Looney Tunes? Check this out. This belt, Yosemite Sam belt, right here. And I got a Roadrunner, and I got one that's like a mishmash of the Looney Tunes and everything. But yeah, that's how much of a Looney Tunes fan I am, by the way. And if you see it as a Looney Tunes movie, then it's bad. Space Jam, I mean, like Foghorn Leghorn, love him, but Spider the Fanatic says, "LOL, cool belt." Yeah, thanks. Um, it's one of those kind of like a seat belt style clippy belts. I kind of like collecting them, but I say that, but I don't really have much. Usually when I go to some place like the what do you call it, the Minnesota the Minnesota State Fair, back when I was still in Minnesota, and we went to Comic Con, and there was some. I didn't get any, but I just love goofy stuff like that. But yeah, Yosemite Sam is golden to me. Like he is the funniest character for me, right? Um, he was a better he was a much better adversary for Bugs Bunny than Elmer Fudd. Elmer Fudd's kind of got this shtick where he's I'm really mild mannered, or something like that. That was a terrible impression of Elmer Fudd, by the way. But he gets more frustrated by himself than the rabbit sometimes. Is that fair to say, though? He does get frustrated by the rabbit, fair enough. But he's kind of he kind of wallows in his own failures a lot of the time. There's weird character analysis of a Looney Tunes character here. But Yosemite Sam, he's just so balls to the wall. He's obnoxious in like the funniest way, and he has all these personas, right? He's somebody else. He's some other role in any given cartoon he's in. And he always has the bandit mask. I don't know, maybe the fact that he's so short is what makes him extra funny. But yeah, that is it. Mel Blanc that does the screen for all the characters, like especially Bugs Bunny. Like that is just so crazy, and delightful. I just can't help but um, love the old Looney Tunes and everything like that. The whole point I was trying to make with this is that Space Jam was not a very good Looney Tunes movie at all, right? My wife showed me Back in Action. It was all right, probably need a few more watches, but it's like when it comes to these movies, they feel like they have too many boundaries to cross, too many eggshells to kind of walk over, right? They can't be too ridiculous, you especially with that live action components, right? With the real people always kind of interwoven into these movies. So they have to restrain themselves too much, and the times that they don't, it's kind of substandard, you know? Yeah. See, I went from Slam Dunk to Looney Tunes here. This is kind of weird. Um, but yeah, I highly recommend Slam Dunk. I don't know where else you can actually watch it aside from Crunchyroll, and I can understand if you don't want to do Crunchyroll because they're kind of screwy bunch. Very censorious some places, and their original material is horseshit. I think they're the same group that did that stupid show High Guardian Spice or whatever bullshit. Um, uh, I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it. But yeah, yes, City Crusher, it is feminist run. So I very begrudgingly use it. Um, Sorry to say, but it's like a if I can, this is why I like collecting DVDs, and I don't know if Slam Dunk was ever released in DVD, and I need to pick up where it left off too by getting the manga. Um, but yeah, this is why I'm such a DVD collector. I'm so old school. Like I collect DVDs, I collect some Blu-rays, I collect CDs, and I even collect nowadays. I collect some vinyl records. Those are vinyl records you see down there. Yeah, I know. I'm kind of very analog about most things. I even have a few cassettes. I don't have them handy on me or anything like that, but there's some cassettes I still have. Actually, I actually bought some cassettes, some used cassettes, and that was a mistake because of the fact that the sound was kind of warped each time. If it was an old used cassette, um, there was an Emerson, Lake and Powell, the only record they did that was released on tape that I got, and it was so warped it was really hard to listen to. And God, there was that the whole story. That's the Kate Bush compilation. That was kind of warped. It was like, I was kind of blind, going into Kate Bush without really knowing what she sounded like at the time, and I thought, does she sound this deep? Is this really this slow? And it turns out there was something wrong with the tape. So um, yeah, like I bought new tapes too. By the way, it's and those were fine. Like I found a copy of IQ's "Are You Sitting Comfortably," wrapped up in a new release. It wasn't a used release, in other words, and that was fine. So, but clearly that tape's something I don't typically do. I still do CDs. I still get CDs. Recently, I got a Pendragon compilation CD. Proud of that. I totally enjoyed listening to it. There's something to be said about the physicality of things, though, right? Like, unless you're an up and comer like myself, in which digital only is kind of, I get a pass and I give myself a pass, clearly. Aside from that, I kind of want something to kind of fall back on, kind of like a gold standard. So I like something physical to back up the fact that I have a digital, if that made any sense. To be absolutely fair, when it comes to the newer vinyl that I might blow a lot of money on, I try to make sure it has like a digital download too. But yeah, so let me know in the chat if you want me to talk about any particular subject. I don't know if I can answer everything. I don't know if I have input on everything, but yeah, those were the primary things I kind of wanted to talk about. So City Crusher says songs, Cloud Busting, Army Dreamers. Like, without me realizing it, the stuff from the Hounds of Love album is something that creeps into my influences, right? Like, yeah, Cloud Busting is really, really good. I love Hounds of Love, the title track. Here's a weird thing to talk about. I was a bit salty that Running Up the Hill was trending because of Stranger Things. I don't watch Stranger Things, not because I dislike it. I just haven't gotten around to seeing it. Babushka, that's another good one. Like, where was I going with this? I was listening to Kate Bush before it was cool, guys. This is so boomerish of me to speak about, but it was like I don't like immersing myself in anything just something just because it was popular, right? And but before then, I was listening to I'm one of those guys that listens to albums straight from start to finish. So it's not just Running Up That Hill that I would listen to or anything like that, or Cloud Busting or whatever. But I was listening to them before it was cool, so there. I had nothing profound to say about this. You just enjoy your Running Up the Hill, if it's trending, whatever. But but it didn't mean I was listening to it at the time, just because it was trending. I listened to things on my own time. Speaking of, why don't I just kind of pull out some of my vinyl? This is not my vinyl. This is just some stained glass that my mother-in-law gave me as a present. Let's see here. How did I organize this? That's just a bunch of Led Zeppelin CDs. That's a Kansas album. Kate Bush, of course. Why was I looking at Kate's? Because I always organized them with B's. Alright. Yeah. Here's Hounds of Love, the vinyl that I got. I just found it in a record store and I just got it. And this is the finish on, or whatever it is on the vinyl itself. Yeah, it's good to have. Yeah, this is a really underrated album. Like, in terms of pop artists, everybody's going, "Oh, Billie Eilish," but I don't know. They can't top Kate Bush herself. Let's see. What else do I have here? No, not Boards of Canada. Good group, but that's not what I'm looking for. Speaking of cloud busting, here's a picture disc of cloud busting that I found one day, um, and got Kate on the back here. So yeah, I do in fact listen to vinyl sometimes. It's good to just kind of be attentive and just kind of put it onto the record player and everything, and just kind of flip it over. Tactile is good, right? There was this one thing I heard about some academic, some university or something like that. I think it was some Camille Paglia talk. By the way, I'm not terribly fond of Camille Paglia myself, but that's beside the point. It was just some talk that she was a part of. I think it was some Battle of the Ideas thing that I saw, and they were talking about how because you know female classical composers don't get enough recognition. They included Kate Bush in the list of important composers as the female representative, something like that. Look, I love Kate Bush, okay, but really, going a bit farther, I mean, do you have to do that? I mean, separate categories of music, separate eras. I actually imagined this to be stronger. That's quite alright. I mean, yeah, that one I really do have to chase with some water. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you gotta give credit to Kate Bush for that one. She writes epics, and her most latest release, to my memory, which I got was what the heck was it called? It was some live triple live album. I forgot what it was called. I have to look it up real quick. What was this live album? Kate Bush. Hold on. Before the Dawn. That was it. Yeah, it was something that was released in 2016, I think. But yeah, she did the whole the big epic from Hounds of Love. It's actually been a hot minute before I listened to a lot of Kate Bush as of late, so the name of the big epic piece is escaping me. And then she did the entirety of that A Sky of Honey, I think it was, A Sea of Honey. It was from the Ariel album. The Ariel album was my favorite, by the way. Wuthering Heights, yes. City Crusher, Wuthering Heights, my favorite. Yeah, completely good choice. Do you like the old one or the re-recorded version? I've heard the re-recorded version first and fell in love with that, and then come to like the old one. But yeah, yeah, it was me trying to listen to Wuthering Heights. Okay, so you like the old one, okay? But the whole story, that's the compilation. That's the one with the new one, right? And it started out with the new one, and that's the one where I kind of realized, is this really what Kate Bush sounds like? Like, this is, oh, the why are they, like, she was really slow and the, oh, why, you sure this is it? And it turns out that the tape was kind of running really slow and sludgy, and it was not a good tape. Oh, by the way, guess who did a cover of Wuthering Heights by Kate Bush? Angra, the power metal band Angra. Like, I got their Brazilian metal group, right? And their debut album, Angels Cry. So I was, I didn't really pay attention to the track list, right? I liked a few songs, and I just got their album, right? I liked the song Carry On. It's a good song, by the way. You should check it out. And so, I was just listening, not even paying attention to the track list, and just listening to the album for the first time, right? And it went to the track, and it said, I heard the piano sound. This, it sounded like dun, 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 dun. And I was like, that sounds really familiar. Like, I was like, nah, it couldn't be. I just kept on, and then the guy starts going, I don't know why. It was like, is Kate Bush? Is this Kate Bush that you're playing? Like, I'm not kidding. A cover of Wuthering Heights is in the first in Angra's first album. Like, and it's done rather faithfully too. It's a dude singing. You know, it's one of the rare examples of men covering a woman's song. You know, usually it's the other way around, right? And like, yeah, it just took me completely off guard. It's a fun, it's a fun listen. You know, it was entertaining to listen to, but they did it. You know, pretty straight laced. You know, it was not a joke song. You know how like Children of Bodom did that one Britney Spears song, "Oops, I Did It Again." It's not a joke. It was done pretty. It was like any other proper cover. You know, so props to it was good. You know, it was pretty good. Um, yeah, Anger's they like to mix metal with the more what we call regional sort of stuff, you know, particular to the Brazil. You know, lots of acoustic guitar, not flamenco because that's not really Brazil, but you know, it's really that kind of acoustic, kind of South American kind of regional sort of style that they've kind of interwoven with it, and some of the neoclassical stuff too. But uh, Angra, I haven't actually. I was about to say. Uh, I haven't heard them for a long time, but that's not true. Actually, put on "Angels Cry" a couple months ago. "Love Hurts" by Nazareth, best version of that song. All right, cool. Um, you know, I thought that this would make me sleepy by now, but it's not. Are you sure this is 62%? Oh, I'm not complaining. I'm glad that I'm not dead tired from drinking this. But yeah, it doesn't have the Thujone, understandably. But it says it has Grande, Wormwood, Green Anise, Sweet Fennel, Hyssop, Hyssop, and Roman Wormwood. So yeah, listening to Angra right now. They're a good group, especially their old stuff. I'm not saying to trash their new stuff. I just really only know a lot of their old stuff. Actually, last I checked, the the singer Fabio Lione used to be in Rhapsody, also known as Rhapsody of Fire, but left that one to join Angra. Um, because I've been a big time Rhapsody of Fire fan. um, sorry, weird throat clearing problems, especially when I drink alcohol. Good cover. Well, I'm glad you think so. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. But yeah, I'm just saying they now have the singer from Rhapsody of Fire on there, who's an Italian, even though Angra is a Brazilian band. Um, I guess I really just like the fact that she was. I'm falling back to Kate Bush again here. You know, it was a very healthy way to actually express some modes of sexuality in music, shall we say? You know, coming from the feminine side and everything like that. And she cared about the music sound. You know, the music sound. It's like saying vision sight. Um, but I'm talking about like the composition and the structures and everything like that, and the narrative of the song. And she picks all these interesting kind of weird subjects. Like there's a song off of what the hell was the album called? It was the one after Hounds of Love. Wow, I'm really out of touch with my Kate Bush right now. This is uncharacteristic of me. The Sensual World. That's it. There's a song called "Heads Were Dancing" in which Kate Bush's character, City Crusher, says "breathing." That's a pretty provocative sort of song. It's a very sort of it creeps into my dreams, kind of interesting. It's a really good song. But I'm talking about "Heads Were Dancing." The song is about her character striking up a very really good dance partner who looks familiar to her, and later it dawns on her that he is actually Adolf Hitler. It's just really freaking weird setups, you know. It's like um, very very strange, you know, out of nowhere kind of stuff that you know kind of works. I think. Um, One underrated album is her latest studio album, 50 Words for Snow. Um, it's mostly piano driven and a lot of kind of background, for lack of a better term, jazz artists in the background kind of a thing. But it's really piano driven. And I'm actually kind of wondering if I should do an album something like that, something more influenced by that. Let me know if you'd be interested in that kind of an album. I had to learn to sing. I can't sing worth an ass, but uh, that could be instrumental. I don't know. I'd find other singers, but I would have done that already by now. You know, if I could find some reliable singers. There's this one person that promised vocals for my metal project, Worldless, and it was always being put off, and until finally, you know, she just downright quit because she kept on getting other projects to do. You know, kind of getting clear that she didn't want to have anything to do with my material. But that's the past. Really, I really wish I could sing. My voice sounds horrid. You know, as I'm talking right now, it sounds really horrid to me, and goodness knows I don't like, never look forward to playbacks of my own videos. Editing my own videos is a nightmare for that reason. This is actually working out pretty well, by the way. Me just talking about music, because I have a lots to show, lots to offer, you know, and so does my audience, you know. So I think this is working out pretty well. I'll probably do this a little bit more. I really do like a good cover art, you know. You know, I don't like it when it's too minimalistic or too gritty or something like that. And City Crusher says album cover art. New generation has really lost out. Yeah, I agree. It's like you know, we're going into this really sterile kind of way right now. Like, see, things have gotten so sterile that even Cannibal Corpse is kind of dialing back the impact. You know, I'm not saying I'm a huge, diehard fan of Cannibal Corpse. I'm just using this as an analogy. Um, but it's like you know, this conversation with myself is kind of reminding me of the subject of AI generated artworks. Now, I know a lot of people say don't worry too much about it, and I'll be honest, they're right. Like forget it. You know, AI generates a bunch of art with kind of literally mindlessly. Don't feel so threatened by that, but at the same time, don't make artwork that some stupid AI can do. You know, make something that only you can do. And it could be influenced by something else. Oh, one thing I wanted to share is that when I was making the artwork for Cosmo Scorpion, this particular artwork, what I was doing, I was watching Bob Ross on YouTube. like every time I sat down to work on my artwork, I was watching Bob Ross on YouTube, and that's like oil on canvas, and I was doing watercolor, but I mean, it was really like this motivating kind of thing to just have Bob Ross, working on his freaking magic on his canvas, and very speaking in that really soothing tone of his and everything. You know, it um, really helped me out. I think it kind of got me in the right mindset for artwork. I can do this, that kind of thing. City Crusher says, "Okay, you were talking about Kate Bush. Her album cover, Never Forever, incredible. It's an interesting cover art. You know, stuff flying out of her dress. Odd choice, but I love it. Let's see if I wonder if I have like a favorite album art for by Kate Bush. I'm not trying to rag on anyone, but I'm not always fond of when people just put their own face in the own photographed face in their artwork. Sometimes it's understandable, especially if it's like a solo thing. But I still like um, artwork about something, I guess. Um, so let's see. Try to think of a really, really brilliant artwork by um, Kate Bush. But before I do, Scorpion's Blackout. That's the one with the guy covered in gauze, isn't it? Um, Truth be told, I don't only know very few Scorpions, but I do know a lot of their album arts. Forks and Eyes, says City Crusher. This, sorry, I'm going through freaking Wikipedia again. I never like going to Wikipedia because they're so stupid assholes, but sometimes. If there was a non-woke Wikipedia, I'd use that exclusively, especially if it was as good in terms of the good information. Let's see. List of Scorpion Discovery, Blackout. Okay, yeah. So yeah. This is what I interpreted as covered in gauze. Well, he's really just covered forehead, and yeah, I see the forks. The forks are yeah. They're kind of wrapped around his eyes. Yeah, it's really strange. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna have to rely on my phone. I keep all my phone in like a SD card. I keep all my music in my SD card on the phone. Else the phone just slows down. And this is like years old. This is not even 5G. It's 4G. Um, it's my old Samsung S8 Plus, and it's still in use. I never had to buy a new phone since. Um, Kate Bush here. Let's see. There it is, Kate Bush. Okay, I know I just said that I'm not always fond of uh, an actual photograph of the artist, except in rare cases. Well, I consider this a rare case, but it's Kate Bush and it's her solo stuff, so it's understandable that she'd have her own face in it. But it's the dreaming for me. The dreaming is probably my favorite. It's probably the most um, provocative, I think, in terms of seductivity. Like, it's really really hard to describe. It's like a because the artwork in question is kind of in reference to um, Houdini's female assistant passing the key to Houdini through a kiss. You know, and that in itself is referenced in one of the songs off the Dreaming. The hell was the song again? Houdini, probably. Was it Houdini? I think it was. Um, yeah, that's a favorite album in general from Kate Bush. Really bizarre sometimes. Like she does donkey noises in that one. Yeah. Let me think of like I'm trying to get into the mindset of thinking about the best album arts. There are I do have favorites, all right. I'm trying to think of what they actually are. This is not my final answer, but yes, has that consistent, interesting style by the artist. Like I'm so ashamed right now. I can't even tell you the artist's name. And here I am looking at it. trying to look it up. Uh, Come on, I'm trying to look at Fragile. Fragile is great, by the way. As an album, anyway. Let's see. Come on, cover. Roger Dean. That's the name. Roger Dean. Yeah, I love Roger Dean's work. Um, it's kind of it's mostly kind of simple. It's really naturalistic, right? But it's really distinct. You know, it's like if there were an animated movie that's completely Yes style Roger Dean kind of setting, I'd be for it. Maybe it'll be rotoscope like some kind of Ralph Bakshi movie or something. Um, Now I've heard good things about Klaatu. City Crusher says Klaatu Suran Suit. I've heard good things about Klaatu. I've not listened to their stuff. Klaatu, um, Canadian progressive rock group. Sir Army Suit. Okay, very simple, but I really like I like all that space, and then there's the people there. That's a good one. One funny artwork I think is the light by Spock's beard. It's like really simple. It's these three colored blobs, kind of like sitting together around this kind of light thing, and it's like their faces are kind of like, oh, what the heck is this? It's just really idiosyncratic, and I love it. That album was my introduction to non-metal progressive rock music. By the way, I still think it's one of the best recordings ever. Brain Salad Surgery, Emerson Lake and Palmer. That has to be one of my favorite. H.R. Giger's great, of course, and that's kind of like quintessential H.R. Giger. It's simple. It's there and it's not going anywhere. It's just so slick. It's so cool. Um, yeah, there are good artworks out there, but for some reason it's not popping in my head. Maybe it really isn't something I really thought about for a long time now. Oh, if you want to be disturbed, remember that album I talked about, Insomnophobia by Psy? That is meant to be something out of someone's nightmare. It's actually kind of meant to be a bit disturbing for what it's worth. I won't tell you what it is right now. It's not terribly offensive. It's just one of those things that looks like something out of someone's nightmare. It's just something some nightmare you just have. Um, I like the Blind Guardian style of music. I mean the startup artwork. It's really close to old school looking, and there is humor where it needs it, so that's good. City Crusher says, "Okay, classic Fleetwood Mac rumors." It's identifiable, right? I think that's the way I can describe that artwork for sure. Oh, look up Egibamiasi. I think that's how you pronounce it, by the band Can. It's just the the album artwork is a can of okras. Kind of punning off their own name, Can, right? So that's a funny artwork there. All right. Dream Theater's got it hit their share of really good artworks. I remember Change of Seasons really catching me because it kind of really introduced to me to that introduced me to that idiosyncratic progressive rock sort of, how they kind of play with names and stuff like that. And uh, it's like this kid, in a bathing suit as if he were at a beach, but the setting is actually snow and winter kind of, so it's a kind of juxtaposition of those kind of things. So yeah, that was something that great. This is where when album artwork kind of mattered, right? You're looking through CDs in like your local FYE or something, because FYE is a thing anymore. Um, and what kind of album artwork is this? What did they sound like? That's how I got into a lot of the music I ended up getting into. Like, the first metal album I purchased was Metallica's Master of Puppets, because I thought the album artwork was so cool. The logo was so cool. So the artwork had a purpose. It kind of really set the tone before and after the listen. Um, this is one artwork that I want to talk about. I just thought was kind of simple but funny. It's by a band called Tiles. It's the album is called Presence of Mind, but it's not presence, but presents, like gifts, and it's like this brain hovering with a wrapped present on top of it. It's just silly, simple pun, but I just thought it was kind of neat. The Iron Maiden mascot really made an impression. That's what City Crusher says. There's something to be said for like a consistent character across album artworks, right? So it's I just like how that mascot Eddie, I think his name was, um, you know, plays a different role in each successive album. I think I'm trying to think of my favorite one. Um, Either Somewhere in Time or Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. I think. I'm trying to think of others. A lot of them are good, but I think those are probably my favorite. Peace of Mind, yeah, that's a good one. Just browsing through some other neato artwork. Let's see. Really don't mean to do this, extended moments of silence or anything like that. I'm trying to get better at this. I promise. Um, yeah, the more subdued and minimalistic it is, the less eye grabbing it is, right? Okay, here's something. So I'm a big fan of Magma, right? And most Magma albums are practically the same. It's just their logo, which kind of looks like the upside down of the Queensryche logo. But it's mostly just some different coloration or presentation of that logo. But there's one big exception, and that's the Attack album. And it's that too is H.R. Giger, believe it or not. But it's these two guys with safety pins as sunglasses. It's they're these two ugly dudes. So it's very odd, very off and odd for a Magma album cover. But by virtue of that, I think it's my favorite. Bad Out of Hell, definitely. Yeah, it's like you'd think it's a metal cover, right? But you then put on that Meatloaf album, and it's not really metal at all. It's just really extended, piano rock. I think is that the good way to describe it? Piano rock. It's not quite prog rock, is it? Um, you know, I know a few songs off that album. I haven't had a comprehensive listen or anything like that. I should, but been meaning to get into Meatloaf for some time, but just haven't gotten around to it. Um, his songs are epic. Yeah, I believe you. I mean, I've listened to what I did, and it's stuff I can really sink my teeth into. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to really inject a lot of the excitement of the cover art, despite the fact that all my music is digital only at the moment. It's like I'm pretty sure I can pull off some kind of limited physical release and stuff like that, but it requires a bigger fan base, admittedly, and it requires a lot of money, which I'm trying to balance. Uh, family stuff or future family stuff. Eventually, I want to have children and have a family properly. And just balancing other things. Like speaking of the whole student debt crisis, not I don't mean crisis, but the whole Biden forgiving the student loans and bullshit and stuff like that. It's like a you know I want to own up to the fact that I made the mistake going to uh, college, but it's like I did what I had to do at the time, what I thought was the right thing at the time. But I want to pay it off. Like recognize my mistake, get the student loans out of the way, and just move on. What are City Crusher? What are you referencing here? OMG in this era. What are you referencing here? Are you talking about the artwork still, or are you talking about student loans, or what? Are you talking about the physical releases, or in their relationships? I'm still not following. Children. Oh, okay. I get what you mean. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I get your point and everything like that. I was trying to remember what I was talking about here. All right, thank you, Absinthe. Yeah, I was talking about the fact that I'm trying to release physical material, right? Like it's it's really hard to justify it, no matter how much I want to, because yeah, physical releases are good and I swear by them, but at the same time, there, the music industry, quite frankly, is saturated. It's like there are so many artists releasing material that want your money, right? And it's not only that they're asking you to pay for everybody's music just to have it, even digitally, um, but um, there's also the matter of space, physical space. Like I've gotten so much stuff. A lot of the stuff, most of the stuff I've got is in the garage right now, and it's not an ideal situation. Um, it's turning out to be a bit of a double-edged sword here. Like what is actually worth keeping anymore in terms of physical material ownership here. Um, so I do see the advantages of staying digital here, but I'm just saying I kind of want to have some kind of takeaway for the audiences, something that they can kind of take with them in terms of the multimedia aspect, right? Um, excuse me. Like I kind of want the imagery to matter of the music too, and like the artwork and everything like that. So I'm operating as if that were still something. Because okay, I really okay now I'm really remembering what I'm trying to say here. Back when I was still a part of the whole music community, the metal community, before I left them for embracing the full woke shit. Um, there's a lot of artists releasing music pretty fast, pretty regularly, and they had collaborators because they all uh, agreed with everything everybody was saying. It was a bit of an echo chamber, and they weren't as keen to work with someone like me, I guess, who had different opinions. But what they like to do is a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time was just use just purchase artwork that don't really have anything much to do with their own music, really. Just sometimes it's even stock imagery that they use for album arts, and it's just like artwork is a bit of a side concern for them. It's like a just something to attach to the file, like a identifier, like some icon or something like that. And I wanted to get away from that. I really wanted to pour myself in that visual representation of the music. So, yep. Well, all things considered, I think this was a successful stream. It was a good way to kick off. Oh, one thing I want to talk about. I'm calling this stream in person live, and that is a Kitaro reference. I'm a big fan of the new age artist Kitaro. It was probably one of the first forms of music I got really serious on in terms of like an artist basis, on an album basis, that kind of thing. And my mom had two Kitaro tapes, and one of them was the in-person live album, and this is a direct reference to that in-person live. It's still a great album. I still love it. So this is in a way, a tribute, especially considering the fact that Kitaro is a big influence in my keyboard playing. A lot of my keyboard style is very influenced by Kitaro's synthesizer style. So yeah, if you like Kitaro, then my music's for you. That's all there is to it. But yeah, starting to wind down now. About to kill off this one glass of absinthe, and one glass is enough for a night, really. So yeah, I want to thank everybody who watched. City Crusher, thank you for your continuous input. Um, thanks for being a part of this. So I'm trying to do this every month, as you may know. It's probably going to end up being on a Friday night most of the time. That way I can kind of drink with a clear conscience, because I don't necessarily have to get up in the morning or anything like that. City Crusher says, "Hey, it was a pleasure." Absolutely a pleasure. Now, one idea I'm entertaining is that, maybe there's like a if I get like a more of a UK audience or an Australian audience, maybe I'll adjust time zones for a different show, and do it in a different kind of time and day and stuff like that. But right now, my default is that it's around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the last Friday of the month. I think it is. I think that's the way I'm gonna try and play this out. Um, that's probably what you can expect for the very near future, unless something changes. So thanks everyone for listening to me ramble about just about anything. And yeah, take care, everyone. Have a good night, and have a good and safe weekend. Enjoy yourself.